Twitch stream on my phone.
All right, we are live as of right now.
Good evening, interwebs. Here we go again.
Have you ever seen that comic by XKCD where it's got the ways to call the internet?
Oh no. How many good ones does he have on there?
Well, it's a Matrix. So like the blogoblag, uh,
Mhm.
but he does. You could do the worldwide blag or the interblag or the blogo web.
Those are some keepers for sure. Make you work for it a
Yes.
little bit.
I also changed everybody but my's image, but my image. Um, so I took the Leyline Walker for Graham out of the actually off of the cover of the Palladium riffs, and I changed yours to be the big eyeball.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then slash I there's a mercenaries book, so I took one of the mercenaries because it kind of looks like, to be honest, it looks like Kintaro because he's got a like a um oh, what are they called? Like round glasses and then a bandana on his head.
Oh yeah, off of the actual Palladium Rifts
Yep,
Mercenaries book.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a win.
So
That's
unless somebody
definitely a
has
win.
something better for me, that's what we get.
Definitely. I think that'll all come with time. I, for one, will unashamedly make a note that I spent far more time in fantasy grounds than I have on my campaign. I got carried away by the excitement of the tools.
Yep,
This really is just a fantastic interface.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, how long have you been using it? Because it's been out for a number of years now.
I had a really old version that I used for a little while.
That would be Fantasy Grounds Classic.
Yeah, that was probably I used that probably 20 years ago.
Oh wow!
So maybe not that long, but it feels like it. So,
So this has been their passion project for a while then.
mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So, and for everyone
That's
here,
interesting.
we'll be starting soon, but we wanted to get on and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, let you know we were here and we were actually going to stream tonight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna make it happen. Oh, does he need
Hey, John.
um so Armagadillo just tried to connect. I think he's
Okay.
in game chat room number 3 if you want to jump over, or 2. He's shifting around now.
Okay, let me add him to role playing. There he goes. Now he should have access to the RPG group. He didn't have. Wasn't in the server, so I couldn't add the rights to him.
Ah, I see.
Hello.
Oh,
How are you doing tonight?
tired.
I totally understand that sentiment. Is that just Monday tired or just life tired?
Oh, life. And then I told you we got the booster shots yesterday and still just sleepy, tired.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it.
It will. It's what it did to
So we
me.
got our favorite brand of energy drink here to see how much we can get accomplished.
And what's the favorite
What
brand of energy drink?
Yeah, what's your poison?
Whatever's cheapest.
Okay.
Whatever's cheapest and preferably doesn't taste like garbage.
Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Come on.
Look, you shove enough caffeine and taurine into that cake, and I'll eat the fuck out of it.
Man, love it. Icy Macaw, do you want to give him sort of a rundown with the web app and the recording? I think this is going to be his first, well, yeah, his first time in on server with us. So if you want to just give him the
Mhm.
lay of the land from the tech side.
Yep. So you'll probably see that we have recording Craig in the chat. So that's recording directly from Discord. You should now have access to a Role Playing Rats chat channel. And if you go in there, I pasted a link. And what that is Craig will record right from Discord servers, but you can also open up a web app that will record from your desktop and send that over to Craig. So we can have two different paths for audio. Um, so that way we don't lose anything as much as possible.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, multiple inputs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then
And
it'll
then a
sync
common
it on
mistake is to make the web app name your same name, and you need to make it different so you can see the second channel.
easier. Either way, I'll see it. So, all right. And our last player said he's headed up the elevator, so he should be on very shortly. But I am super duper excited.
Well, it's in the nature of marketing to overpromise and underdeliver, but it's in my personal nature to underpromise and overdeliver. So hopefully, wherever that falls, we measure up to your expectations.
Um, as long as we're having fun and get to do some role playing and shoot big bad robot-y flying uh, fascists, I'm happy.
We can make that happen.
Or vampires, we're kind of close to the vampire nation, so that'd be fun too.
Sure, sure, sure,
Although,
sure.
to be honest, I don't really know how bad and nasty Rift's vampires are, so that might go completely wrong.
Well, just to gloss over it really here, the in most RPGs, vampires are like an entry within the monster manual,
Mm-hmm.
and in Rifts they have their own dedicated world book.
Oh,
So
oh,
yeah, it's not like a supplement where it's like I don't know. I think Mercenaries is like 120 pages or something like that, or Juicer Uprising is 100 some pages or 80 pages. World book vampires is is an actual, it's like a 300-page tome. Like it's almost the same thickness as the rule book, I think, or maybe like three-quarters of it.
somebody really likes vampires.
No, no, there's actually a funny story here. So growing up playing Rifts, we had every single book that came out because there were my brothers and I and a bunch of friends playing the game. And so between the, I don't know, six of us or give or take, like we had pretty much every single book that had been published except for vampires. The
Mm-hmm.
local game shop was always sold out, and this is 80s, 90s, so it's not we couldn't just hop on Amazon. And
Yep.
so finally, when I kind of got back into Rifts after a number of years, I went on eBay and I found like a pristine copy, and it was the original print instead of the revamped print, which, comes with its own caveats. But I was able to finally get my hands on it. So it was just always like the missing block in the Jenga stack. It's
Hmm.
it's had nothing to really do with the love of vampires more than just the completing the collection.
Ah. So you bought it between then and now, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. No, my
Revamped.
my my actual favorite world book is New West, which is why we're setting up in in New Mexico this time around. My favorite world book is New West. I just grew up watching westerns with dad. Absolutely love the what Riffs and Palladium did with it. So that's why we're here now.
Sweet. Sweet. Well, looks like we have Kentaro here with us.
Indeed.
Testing, testing. Is there a pulse?
Uh, Boop.
Can you? Uh-oh.
So there's a pulse
Is it
for
not?
now.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, no, we're here. You're here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Craig Horse thing is not connecting for me. Your thing you want to get the
Web
Yeah,
app?
it's not connecting. Yeah, it's not connecting for me.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll get it. I was using the old one. There it goes.
Oh yeah. There you go.
There it
There's a
goes.
new.
All right.
There'll
Yeah,
be
I
a new
use the
link
old
every
link.
time. Yep.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I think we can probably get started as long as you're ready. Everyone's ready, and probably should start off with just a quick idea of what we're doing here. Fives, if you want to do that, or I can do it.
No, we definitely can. Before we get really kicked off here, I want to make sure Armadillo's seated. So, do you have, are you up on Steam? Do you have Fantasy Grounds open? Are you here in the interface? Do you need to join the server? What does your PC look like for you right now?
I have been struggling to get Fantasy Grounds to recognize um, the Rifts rule set. It won't load. I don't know if I just have to join your game for that. But we have Fantasy Grounds installed, so we should be able to join your campaign.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, you absolutely should. So I think I put a screenshot into the chat last time. I don't know if you have access to that, but um, the details for joining. If you scroll up in the Role Playing Rats chat on the Discord server, you should see the server name and the password there to join my campaign.
All right, I'm in it.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. And so now I'm going to pop open the Graham character and change the owner from GM to, I assume that's you, right? Feng Chu?
That would be me.
Okay, cool. Take ownership. Actually, I see. I
Yeah,
have take ownership or clear owner, so he should be able to open up the characters tab and claim ownership of Graham. Is that correct? I
I
can't
believe so.
decide.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, I have used Fantasy Grounds before. I'm still
Oh,
loading it up, so it's showing me as being in there before my interface has me in there.
okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, then you and Icy will be my resident experts. So just by dint of having used it, and I haven't. So, whilst Armadillo is loading into the game or into Fantasy Grounds into the interface for our Twitch viewers, quick recap. We're here to play Rifts. This was an RPG that was originally put out in the 80s and grew through the 90s by Palladium Books. It has been adapted into the Savage Worlds play setting, and we are now on the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, which is the latest iteration of that Suede rule set. So, really happy to be here. Really excited to get rolling. I've been playing Rifts for a while. Our setting is rolling in here with 3-player characters into the New West of Rifts. If you want to go ahead and Google the New West region for the Rifts world. As a brief update, Rifts Earth is set 300 years from the apocalypse, which is 300 years from today. So, like, it's crazy. Bear with us here. 600 years in the future. So, 300 years from now, there's this huge, huge cataclysmic event. I believe in the lore specifically, nuclear threats and wars have gone off, and such a large toll, death toll, created tears in space and time. So we had rifts opening up, literal rips in space and time, kind of the opposite of black holes. And the Earth was covered in ley lines. So these magical cords of energy wrapped the globe. And so things like magic users, gargoyles, demons, historical figures, literally a rip in space and time for anywhere in the absolute universe. So, Atlantis is back. And Europe has been taken over by gargoyles. South America has been taken over by vampires. And the Pacific is just a wash of sea. We haven't even heard about Hawaii. I don't think there is a Rifts Hawaii book. And our adventurers are now present in 109 post-apocalypse, which is not 109 years after the apocalypse, but 109 years after they started keeping dates after the apocalypse. So it's about 300 years after the actual cataclysmic event. And so we're kind of crawling out of the dark ages. We're through just that gritty, gnarly Mad Max survival stage. We're moving into where we really get to see who the heroes are, who the villains are, emergent empires, and crumbling hangers on of old settlements and civilizations that existed in the past. Uh, as it's set 300 years from the apocalypse, which is 300 years from now, there are really crazy things like pre-Rifts power armor that is just this top tier equipment, which we'll see very soon because one of our players is using it. And you have that sitting next to Cyber Knights, which are essentially your King Arthur Knights Templar who, are using psionic power and magic to right the wrongs of the world. So a little bit of setting there. And this is session 0.5, if you will, session 1. We're still getting a new player in here, so bear with us. How did I do, Icy? What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Hell yeah, that's pretty good.
Excellent. Yeah, brief rundown. Reprising his role as Slash, we have Kentaro playing the gun trigger happy mercenary Slash, who's now from a previous campaign. Just so everyone has a little bit of background, we ran Rifts once before with the same group. So Slash has been ported over into the Savage Worlds, and now he is the old soldier seeking some form of retirement. Successfully or unsuccessfully remains to be seen. Dun dun dun. And we have Icy McCaw playing Tyler Froman, the Silver Surfer, if you will, the Glitter Boy, one of the bucket list items for every RPG player who's ever heard of Rifts. Walking around in this incredible pre-Rifts artifact, 10-foot tall chrome power armor, just this gorgeous thing to behold that is beyond what anyone can imagine and what most people have seen. And we have Armageddillo playing Graham, the subtle, unseemly leyline walker, which is the equivalent for anyone who's heard of Dungeons and Dragons of a wizard. In Rifts, the leyline walker is your power hungry magic user, essentially, just to give you an archetype. Are we all in the game? Ready to rock?
Ready to go.
Seems like.
Okay, fantastic. All
Let's
right.
do it.
So to kick off here, the three of you, erstwhile companions, have been traveling together from some time. You have worked peripherally in the shadow of the Tolkien War. So our story takes place months after the desolation of Tolkien. So Tolkien is a magical city. It was a haven, a crossroads for every race, every skill, every talent to come together and live in peace. It was essentially a petri dish for the world of Rifts. And so Tolkien was located in the northeast of the continent of North America as we know it today. And there were some of you, like Graham and Slash, who had a little bit more to do with it. And there are some of you, like Tyler, who were on the fringes and more reaping the benefits, maybe a little more opportunistic with how they worked around that siege. And in the fallout from this, most refugees from the city, I should back up here, the coalition launched nukes at Tolkien. That's how they chose to end that conflict. They pushed the big red button, and it got real bad. So the fallout from that, most of the refugees have fled to New Loslo, which is a safer haven further away from the coalition heart of Chi-Town, which is set in our modern day Chicago, and to the New West because it's free out there. The closest known outpost of the coalition is in Texas, and it's called Lone Star. And so as you move towards Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, you see the grip of the coalition lessen and lessen and lessen. And you find yourselves, as you headed south and west, hearing more and more about a thing called Pride's Game. And you weren't sure what that was at first. Pride's Game. It could be some sicko's idea of hunting refugees, or it could be something legitimate and an absolute, an absolute lottery. And as you fished for more and more rumors to guide your direction and your travel, helping refugees where you could along the way, as you seem to be mostly good people, and assisting where you could with coalition patrols and DBs and things that go bump in the night, you heard more and more about this game, Pride's Game. And rumors that have surfaced are that it's a lottery of some kind, that you are able to win something, win freedom. But aren't we all free citizens in this post apocalyptic North America? Oh, no, it's the deepest and darkest desires that you possess. You can win whatever it is that you want. A utopia. It grants your every wish. That is Pride's Game. It is the ultimate lottery. This thing that they say existed in pre-Rifts North America, where you could buy a few scripts and maybe win some money. But this is the absolute epitome of what that lottery could be. And as you get closer and closer to what we know as New Mexico, and what you simply know as the New West and Southwest, you hear more and more about people who are killing to get to Pride's Game, people who are traveling from all over the continent to get to Pride's Game. You even heard of a Triax and NGR expat, the New German Republic, an NGR expat who made a dark deal with a rifter to make his way to the south of America for Pride's Game. And so we find ourselves here with this goal that can change your very life and the life of those around you. For you've heard rumors of allotments, allowances, and benefits and stipends, and part of it, you take with a grain of salt. You're all men of the world. You're sure that things are being extrapolated beyond control, but it there's just so much good. Even if you cut things in half, there's so much good. Three quarters, it's still just incredibly life changing. We find ourselves in the mountains between Pre-Rifts, Colorado, and New Mexico. I want to do a little bit of world building here as we get the impetus for your travel, where you're coming from, where you're going to. I'm really curious about Tyler's character. I think that the three of you are doing some traveling with probably some refugees, maybe even a road train. How do you think the three of you, who have, as I said, have been working together for a while, maybe bumped together on different campaigns through the end of the Tolkien War, how do you think the three of you would be traveling, moving towards the south?
Well, as we've got a bunch of refugees with us and things like that, Tyler would likely be in his glitter boy a fair amount of the time, as I don't think we really have anything to go through and transport. A couple tons of steel and stuff like that. So he'd likely be in there, kind of watching the periphery, see if there's anything going on, and just make sure the whole caravan is safe as we're moving that direction.
Okay, that's reasonable. I think if that works for you, so well, there's a road train or a caravan of some type. Do you think you would be scouting ahead? Would you be out to the flanks, moving along the rear? We have to remember that a glitter boy is a beacon, and for
Hmm.
factions like the coalition, it is a shoot on sight kind of beacon, so that can get real bad real fast.
Oh, that's exactly why he's out front, because he wants to be the first one to get shot. Uh, which Tyler is a little bit arrogant, so he's definitely out front, just being that beacon and like, okay, just waiting for somebody to actually take a pot shot. Like, come on, let's get some action on here.
Man, okay. Making some notes here. All right. So given that, Graham, in the impetus of your Leyline Walker, and sorry, I didn't let you know. If you open up your character sheet and click on the notes page, I did write a brief paragraph, and then there are some points about the edges and the hindrances that you have there that kind of make up the character. So I'll move on
I
to
have
Slash.
edited some of those slightly based on work that I did before.
Good. Okay. Okay, great. Then, since you're kind of into that, Graham, based on that, where do you think you would be in relation to the Scout Glitter Boy?
I don't think that I would be with the Scout Glitter Boy at all. I'm fairly certain that Graham would probably be. If we're escorting refugees, Graham is with the refugees. Graham is not. Graham is a man of the people, despite being Leyline Walker. Just not a little bit more concerned with the well-being of the commoners than anything else.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So, walking among the people, probably near the front, he's a character of note, a named man, if you will. And oh gosh, I wanna do exclamation jump on Icy Macaw's stream here. Get those 50 macaws. So that makes sense for Graham. How have you dealt with the overcoming of the society of the refugees? These are people from Tolkien, which was a very magical city, but lane line walkers in general come with some mistrust because they handle powers that no one can comprehend. You are able to reach out and harness these flowing lines of energy around the globe with a gesture, with a thought, and it's easy for you, and that scares people.
I think that by and large, Graham doesn't, other than the sort of telltale mask um, that's common to sort of all the leyline walkers. Um, there's not really like we don't go out of our way to sit aside from the rest of people. I think that's where he's sort of comfortable. I don't think that Graham is comfortable entirely with what he can do, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this is a thing that was a point of fascination of curiosity, but not something that there's no ego here. It's just sort of like this is a thing I can do, and life is stranger because of it. Um, but we'll just see where it takes us.
okay, fantastic. With that in mind, Slash, where would you find yourself in this road train? Um, if you'd like to ask me a few questions about the road train, we can. Let's build, we'll delve into that. But where would you find yourself if Tyler, your erstwhile companion and heavy artillery, really is why you love him, because he brings that rain, is out front and Graham is at the forefront of the mob of the refugees. Would you be near the front with Graham? Where would you find yourself?
I would be in my flying Titan armor, and I'd just be kind of up in the air, scouting around, keeping an eye in the distance for anything coming, and just keeping an eye on Tyler to make sure that if he gets into anything, I can respond quick and be there to support.
I still really can't believe you rolled for that on that what is it, hero's journey they call it in the
Yeah.
Risk book.
Yeah,
That's
that was pretty
yeah, that's a good one. I'm just gonna
pretty
pull that up
dope.
real quick because it used to have a lifespan. You had to like cool down the jets. So let me just take a look at that real quick.
Sounds good.
Um, Highly favored by those who want the flight system and speed and maneuverability. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, we didn't even get into that much detail with it. Just that it can fly with a Decent pace. Wow. Okay.
400 miles an hour. Yeah, I think it can
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, cool. So you're on Overwatch. Tyler's out front. Graham is among the people. How big of a group do you think the three of you would have been comfortable traveling with in terms of refugee count?
Tyler really doesn't care. He's, the bigger the caravan, the more opportunities he's gonna have to get into a fight and prove himself. But he's not against going with a smaller group.
And is it just the three of us escorting these group?
There are a few other men at arms, absolutely. A couple magic users who you yourself have worked with, Graham and Slash as well. Tyler, you only know one of them. A couple named men that have made their way through the people of the caravan, but you are the three sort of chosen leaders who have been doing the most for the longest. The others are sort of hired guns there if you need them, but their days are they don't have a cause to fight for anymore, let's say. So you're not the only three men at arms who know their way about a bar brawl, but you are the only three that people will allow to call the shots.
I'd say probably about somewhere around 30, just because sort of standard classroom size.
Sure. Something controllable, especially with the headstrong Tyler always wanting to go out and find the next fight. He seems like he always wants to prove himself, whether he actually needs to or not. And with the Slash, who seems just more tired than anything of the conflict. So you find yourself, Graham, to be more often than not the mother of the refugees.
This is acceptable. I don't think they like Graham particularly. I don't think he's particularly adept in the social sphere. Um, but it's a face a face you can trust.
I trust you.
You would. Okay, so about 30 refugees are given about a classroom size. Okay, just making another quick note here. And considering that you're traveling with a glitter boy up at the front, because that's already like a beacon out there. You're launching a flare with every step he takes. Again, this
Hate
is
it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it.
yeah, multiple tons of glistening, shiny chrome armor that makes the ground shake with every step. Like this is
Every night I'm there, like just smearing dirt on it, trying to make it less shiny.
Oh, jeez.
um do you think you would have allowed many vehicles with you? There weren't many coming out of Tolkien. We're not talking about the flashiest, hottest coalition ground car here, but there may have been a couple of flatbed trucks that wanted to travel with just, SDC vehicles, regular ground vehicles, maybe beat up hover car or two, that kind of thing. Would you have allowed vehicles considering what's leading your pack?
I
I
think
think we
considering
probably
what,
would have let the vehicle
yeah,
come.
I think considering what we got up front, I mean, you know, uh, traveling by like inconspicuous means is preferable. But if we're gonna be uh, have a beacon out front anyway, we might as well get a few trucks or something in there.
Right.
Okay. Okay, great. And it makes it easier to transport things like food and other goods like that as well. Okay. So with that in mind, because your group is so small, this is one of my follow-up questions. What is something that you saved the group from? Do you think it was a monster attack? Do you think it was a coalition patrol, maybe led by a Psy Stalker or one of their spooks, shall we say, for lack of a better term? Except this is a 600 year in the future spook who will probably rip your throat out with their teeth. Or was it bandits? Give me a genre of villain that you would have saved this small group from.
I think we kind of got out of a lot of where, we'd meet anything of, uh, a large group. So we kind of, I would suspect bandits would be kind of what we had saved this group from. Not super well armed or anything, not, spooks or anything like that, but, just kind of some people looking to do it, and unfortunately they showed up and didn't realize what was in the group before they got on top of us, probably in some woods or something, I would guess.
Sure. Okay. So this actually took place a short time ago, maybe 3 or 4 days, and it really cemented the group together. It was moving through what we would have known today as, old Denver. Just outside of it, in the foothills of the mountains, we've got some forests, and that was where you had chosen to camp for the night. And bandits who thought they had a good chance decided to take the plunge, and this is probably, I don't know, about 50 miles south of Denver as it stands, maybe between 25 and 50 miles south. And that was when this group of refugees really really solidified and chose to believe in you as leaders. It had been really touch and go the weeks now, because Tolkien is in the north and east. They'd kind of been following you and the two or three other combatants and men at arms as sort of this is what we're doing now, and we've got nothing better to do, really. So here we are. But it was that moment when you three stepped up with the occasional pot shot from one of the other mercenaries to assist here with a flank that really had them say, okay, you're our leaders, you're the ones we're going to follow. But you've also noted that they haven't really picked out one of you as the guy. It's kind of your committee. And Graham doesn't really stand above either of you, Slash or Tyler, because he spends more time with them. They gravitate to him and they'll ask him more questions. They seem to trust him more to bring their concerns to you, which is odd because the two of you don't really feel like he's given you every reason to fully and completely trust him. And you're not sure if that's the distant look in his eyes, or if it's the fact that he's just an incredibly powerful magic user as you see it compared to your very technological mechanical skill set. Um, maybe speak to that, Tyler, with who your character is and your background. What element of distrust could you find in a magic user?
Well, like that, part of it is, Tyler himself is kind of has his own background and reasons he's here. That isn't exactly what everyone would immediately believe. So just like everybody else, he kind of understands that everybody kind of has their dark secrets and stuff. And Tyler is, of course, trying his darndest to figure out what's going on there, because he's just got to know kind of what's setting him off, and also what Graham is hiding.
Sure, sure. So it's kind of we've all got our backgrounds, but I want to find out his before
Mm-hmm.
he finds out mine.
He's not. Tyler's not. He is not worried that anybody figures out what's going on with him. To be honest, he's just not.
Okay.
He
Okay.
doesn't say it.
Hmm.
He's the person. He's like, okay, you're gonna know that. Oh well, I'm still in a big freaking tower of steel that can really shoot you really well. So good luck with that.
Okay. Great. All right. Perfect. Perfect. And then Slash, it's more of a professional thing. Like you haven't had any reason for Graham to not work with him. But what do you think is something that maybe makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up? It doesn't necessarily, like, you trust him. You've obviously fought with him. He was obviously at Tolkien fighting on the right side, quote unquote. But what do you think is something that maybe just raises an eyebrow or makes you go, ah, man, that guy?
Just his ability to use magic, it just freaks me out. It's like that's just unnatural. Shouldn't work like that. I'm so much on the technical side, so much with guns and technology and that the magic stuff is just kind of like it just makes me give him a double look. It's not that I don't trust him, it's just it's weird. Just kind of
Okay.
freaks me out.
Okay. I like that. And for Graham, for you, do you think this is something that Graham is socially savvy enough to have picked up on? That these characters are not necessarily keeping him at arm's length, but are maybe just when a certain topic is brought up, they're a little more reserved, or maybe they step away, a little more often when a conversation gets heated. Is this something that you would have noticed, or it's completely over your head? You think everyone is 100% fine?
I think Graham is definitely very much aware that that he is not trusted. Graham, I think, definitely. I think we've sort of established Graham doesn't necessarily have the easiest time um, convincing people that he is exactly as he seems. And I think hand in hand with that, the distrust of magic users across all of this area has definitely given him at least the inkling of like, okay, nobody is really going to take me at face value, and everyone is a little bit reserved with me, and Graham is naturally reserved. So I think he's definitely picked up on that, but it's so common that it's not like a cause for concern or stress. It's just sort of like, oh, this again. Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And that's a great way to read that. That actually fits. That's exactly what I hoped you would say. So fantastic. Because that's how the rest of this campaign is written, guys. Um,
Uh-oh.
coming back to Tyler, and again, this isn't. I'm not trying to sow discord within the ranks or set you up to be going one against the other. It's just
No,
that
you would never do that.
I wouldn't ever. But in the post-apocalyptic world of Rifts, magic is still a fairly rare thing. So even though they've worked with the city of Tolkien or on the side of good, just for sake of delineation here, it's still a little bit unnerving to encounter these people. It's sort of that that thing that you always talk about that's kind of out there over there, like, oh yeah, these people exist, they do those things, this is Tolkien, I'm working with them. But magic users are still relatively rare, and so to have brought one into their confidence and be traveling with one, it's like, on the one hand, it's this incredibly powerful person and backup that's on their side now, but on the other hand, it's still, it could make their skin crawl, and it just depends on who this type of person is. Excuse me. Oof. So moving forward to the refugees themselves, Tyler, can you give me one encounter with one refugee, maybe around a campfire, maybe it was a conversation on the road when you laid your glitter boy out on the flatbed and you were walking alongside the people? One encounter that you had, were you telling a boastful story to an admiring crowd of young girls? Were you swapping war stories with a limping veteran? What's one encounter that you had with one refugee, and what was their name that sort of gave you an investment in this group, like, these people are all right, and I'm glad that I'm here with them.
So as Tyler was kind of walking along everybody, he kind of saw an older lady that was you know keeping up with everybody, but looks like she was having a little bit of trouble. Um and kind of went beside her and started chatting with her and found out her name was Sarah. And kind of kind of had a heart to heart conversation with her. And as Tyler kind of is out doing this type of stuff for his daughter, who's back with the nanny, because going out here is not exactly the safest thing. Found out that Sarah actually had two daughters that during some of the conflicts that she's been in actually didn't make it. And so
Ooh.
spent a lot of time talking to Sarah about kind of his own daughter, as well as getting to know what her daughters were like and kind of what she was like. And kind of took a um like, okay, I gotta be here and make sure these people get to a safe spot.
That's great. That's very powerful. It's really powerful, man. That took a very heartfelt turn that I didn't expect it to. Okay, and moving to Graham, what's one encounter that you had again on the road around a campfire, maybe after the combat, another man at arms, one of the other magic users, or gifted people, or maybe just a generic human or a DB. What's one encounter that you had with one of these 30-ish refugees that really made you say, I'm glad I'm here, and I need to be here for them?
I think that at some point, probably working on and patching up um, one of the other men at arms. The travel, comes with its own dangers and its own scrapes and bumps, and I think probably Graham tending some wounds um, when they set down for camp. I think that's probably a moment that um, sort of builds a connection between the group.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. Fantastic. And Slash, what about you? Was it another man at arms? Were you talking about firearms? Were you talking about to an old veteran, in a malfunction that got his arm chopped off and now he's here with you? Or what? What something did you connect on with a refugee that made you say, like, these people are worth it? What was sort of a heartfelt moment?
So it was after maybe the initial bandit fight where we saved them, and Slash was down cleaning his weapon, his one man army laser rifle. They're like, wow, it's a junker weapon. Some veteran came by and he started talking to him. And as he was cleaning it, he just kind of went into the story about how he acquired the weapon, how he got it from some juicer that didn't see him coming, and he caught him in the back and slashed his throat and took his weapon from him.
That's pretty awesome, man. All right. I'd forgotten we had discussed that right up until you brought it up. That's great. And what was that veteran's name?
Ah, shoot, Slash doesn't remember,
Okay,
but
that's very
but
in
he
character.
he was he had a big long, like almost Santa beard, and he was one of the more rowdy guys in the refugees. He was one that was helping
Perfect.
them fight.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Maybe it was like Billy Gibbons or something, or Frank Beard. Just a quick ZZ Top reference. Sorry, everybody. I'll move on.
It was Ivan. His name was Ivan.
Perfect. All right. Ivan. Okay, great. That's perfect. So we got Sarah, Ivan, Graham. Did the soldiers that you were helping, was there one who stood out to you? Did he have a name?
Um, Stephen, I
Steven.
think.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Okay. Okay, that's great. So that gives us some world building. We've kind of got a couple of hands around the group of refugees that you're escorting. Again, it's about 30-ish refugees that you're taking through the mountains here and have escorted across North America. You've been really fortunate to have made it this far, and you're pretty sure that you're close to your goal. There is no GPS, there are no satellites up there that you can reference, but from the paper maps that a couple of the refugees produced, and from your own memory when looking at the escape routes as the missile launch against Tolkien was announced, you feel like you must be getting very close to what was Pre-Riffs, New Mexico, and what could potentially be Pride's Shield, the barony in the northern mountains of Old Pre-Riffs, New Mexico, that offers this Miracle escape, you suppose? You haven't heard of anything better to aim for except for the mythical cloud city of the Lin Serial people, the DB race, and that just sounds way too good to be true. So, that's going to be over there on the way left. So, we find ourselves on a clear summer morning. You'd hazard it's probably about midsummer, maybe just before the solstice. You feel like the days are getting a little bit longer as they go. And the refugee train is traveling fairly well. You're a little bit slowed down. One of the vehicles has a flat tire, which you manage to fill with a little bit of mud and cap it off with some paste. So it's a solid wheel now, but it's still rolling. You wish there were a few more of those hover cars to find. And it's been uphill going. People are tired. There's definitely a few that are a little bit hungry. You've had to trim rations back just because of the number of people, and you're not quite sure if you can keep going because this mountain pass just keeps going up. Slash, up there in your armor, you know that it's maybe another 1,000 feet of elevation. They're close. You'll be up to the top of this mountain pass in maybe 2 hours at your current rate. It's just another 1,000 feet. You know that the train can make it, and you've seen some ruins up there from the air. But Graham, down on the ground, you're just getting groans and complaints, and people are asking you if you can stop and take a rest. You only set out 3 hours ago. And that's when Steven makes his way up to the front of the line. Is like, hey man, is there any way do you think we could just take a couple hours here? What's the big rush? Why are we pushing through this? And as he asks you that, you know in the back of your mind that mountains are one, fantastic places for ambushes, and two, you know that the south is where vampires live. You have heard these rumors and you have heard these stories. As a magic user, you were in circles that the others were not, and you know for a fact that you're essentially moving into dangerous territory now. You've always been in danger. It's post-apocalyptic rifts, but it's an ever-present tingle in the back of your mind.
So I think Graham's sort of walking along, sort of a stave or walking stick in hand, just plodding when Stephen comes up. So I think he turns around and is like, no, nope, we should definitely keep moving. We got many more miles to go before we can call it quits for the day. But you know what, Stephen? Pretty soon maybe we'll do a 0 day. We'll just rest, recover, but wouldn't be good right now. Not safe yet.
Steven's like he sighs, he's sweaty, he's still limping from that huge bandage you've got on his thigh. The stitches were good, for a fact, so you're pretty sure he's milking it. But he's like, come on, man. Like it's a clear, I mean, look at this blue sky. This is the stuff we heard about in stories. The smoke rising over Chi-Town from the industry there. Just we didn't think something like this could exist. And here we are, day 4. It's been quiet as a tomb. Uh, Come on, just a short break.
I could maybe get you a short break. We could take a 20, but no hours. We don't got the time for the hours yet. You guys all know what's at stake here and where we're going. So, yeah, this is what we need to be doing.
We're gonna pause on that convo and jump up to Tyler. How far ahead of the train are you?
I make sure that I'm far enough ahead that if I needed to, I could actually use my boom gun. Uh, which doesn't need to be too terribly far, but definitely, you know, at least a couple hundred yards to anywhere from there to maybe, a kilometer and a half ahead, just so he's got the opportunity to take the first shot to him and to the bad guy.
Sure, sure. Can you is the boom gun deafen on a physical distance
It
or
said it's a large template, so
okay. Okay, great. Perfect. And then you're gonna have to remind me for the rifts, did they give you a cooldown time for, putting the pylons in the ground and, firing the actual gun?
they specifically said I can't move and fire in the same one, and that I do need to plant those. I'll double check those and just make sure I've got that right here.
Okay. Yeah, just, how long does it take you to plant pylons and take
Mm-hmm.
that first shot?
Yep, yep.
Okay, cool. So moving back to Slash, are you ahead of the column, sort of over Tyler, or are you over the column and you can see Tyler if he's about, you know, maybe 200 yards or so ahead?
I'd be between Tyler and the column,
Okay.
about
All right.
100 to 150 feet up above, just keeping watch.
Okay. Cool. Fantastic.
And
That works.
I have an action called digging in, which activating and deactivating it is an action. So if I
Oh
needed to
wow.
shoot, I'd have to dig in on one turn.
Mhm.
The next turn I can shoot, and then the next turn I can dig out, and then start moving. Otherwise, if I shoot without digging in, it knocks me 2d6 inches back and prone, stunning the pilot.
Okay. Cool.
Damn, that's a big gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, man. But that's, and that's cool. It's not that you can't fire it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. All right, great. And in action, so about 6 seconds to dig in. Just as a reference point, 6 seconds is a round.
Yep.
So you get one action per round. So it'd be about 6 seconds to dig in, 6 seconds to dig out. And that's just enough time to build that action movie suspense.
Yep. Although isn't there a way to do multiple actions in one turn somehow?
With the Benny, perhaps, if you spend a benefit for
I'll have to
that
look it up
that
because I
heroic
forgot.
lift. Let me see here. I actually took a screenshot of Benny benefit usage, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I think that's way. So I'm going to throw that into the Discord chat here for you all to take a look at, because you all have, just as a gameplay mechanic here before we go too much further, you all have 3 benefits to use.
Yep. So characters can perform up to 3 actions on their turn. Each action, additional action beyond the first, inflicts a -2 penalty to all actions. Taking 2 actions,
Ah,
for example, incurs a -2 penalty to both, and 3 actions is a -4 penalty to all of them. Wild cards get their wild dice on each action as usual, and all actions must be declared at the start of the turn and before any dice are rolled. Penalties remain even if a later action doesn't happen, usually because it was dependent on an earlier success.
okay. There we go. So it's a modifier, negative modifier.
Yep,
Okay. All right. Did everyone make a note of that so you can screw over the GM later?
absolutely. I
Working
mean,
on it.
I mean, no, no, absolutely not.
And Armagadillo, brief aside, so if you didn't get the um Savage Worlds Rifts book uploaded to Fantasy Grounds, then you don't actually have access to the PDF either, do you?
No, I don't know why it
Okay.
wasn't working, but I'll have to figure it out some other time.
Sure, sure.
Yep,
Okay. We'll get the books shared with you, and then make sure that the um Fantasy Grounds uploads is connected. It's a little hinky, so I definitely have
Yep.
to negotiate with my PC.
Yep. If you actually go click on the modules under library, and then there's an activation, you have to activate the books that you want to have active in your client. And then once you've got
Gotcha.
that, you can
Yeah.
go into modules and open them up.
Yeah. No, when I was doing this on my own, it did not show the Rifts module at all.
Okay. Maybe you
So
run
like
when you start it
here
up,
now,
run an
with
update.
us, like, I already did, brother.
Okay.
I have tried a bunch of things.
Okay.
We can pick it up. We'll pick that up later. We'll pick that up later. Savage Worlds is easy enough. He's been RPing long enough. I'm not worried about him getting the rules just so he has access later for, specific references.
Mhm.
All right. So, Slash is about 150 feet up in the air. He's keeping an eye on Tyler to the fore and Graham and the refugee train to the rear. We've got a couple of vehicles. It's kicking up dust. It's a clear, dry summer day, and Graham is being heckled about getting a break by the group for just a few minutes, just a short few minutes. So you said you could do a short break, Graham, and he said, he was still shaking his head when you said 20 minutes. He's like, we need an hour, man. Have you seen these oldsters? We can't all pile onto the vehicles. We've just got too many bodies. Just get 1 hour. Can we get 1 hour in the mountains?
I think if he was persistent, um, and not amenable to a persuasion, I think Graham would actually seek advice from the men at arms. I mean, Graham uh, is not a professional refugee organizer in any way, shape, or form. Like this is new. Um, but he knows how to travel on his own. He knows how to prepare a camp and take care of himself. But how to coordinate for a large group of people is not something in his wheelhouse. And other than that, he knows that others may have a better idea of the situation than he does, or at the very least, combining, putting heads together. Uh, However many heads are better than one.
Sure.
So I think he might, if there's like I don't know for what we have for communications, if we have radio or if we just have signals or what have you, but I think he would um, loop in some of the others on this.
Yeah, I think oh man, I'm so used to Rifts having a stupid amount of gear, but I think that as you're coming from the war-torn north, you would have shortwave radios. You're all within a few hundred feet of each other, a few hundred yards of each other.
The NGS2 survival pack specifically comes with a radio with a 5-mile range.
Okay, perfect. Then you're good to
It's a
go.
nice range.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we would shoot a call to our entire sort of escort, um, and sort of apprise them of the situation. Um, and I think Graham isn't upset about it. He's not bothered that he's being bothered. I don't. I think that's the reason he's not bothered is so much is that I don't think he picks up on what a big deal this is for Stephen or for the others. That intuitiveness, that social awareness, not picking up on that, not going like, oh, this is really serious for him. Graham's going by what he knows, just like, no, it doesn't seem like a good idea right now. And we probably shouldn't. But because he's been pestered, I think we try to loop in at least Tyler to ask what, or both Tyler and Slash to see what they're picking up on this location, whether or not they feel secure.
Well,
Sla-
I'm a thinking that this probably is not the best place to stop for their health and well-being. But then again, if we want to be sitting targets in a spot where, ambushes probably could happen pretty easily. Boulders roll downhill pretty nicely. This would be the spot that I'd like to surprise someone. Um, Are they unable to walk, or just looking for a little rest?
It doesn't seem we have anyone unable. Just we may not have the pinnacles of physical fitness on board here.
And Slash, you were saying something?
I'd fly down to where Graham is to kind of help him kind of calm people down, to kind of get them to back off him from heckling him, and just kind of, you know, explain the situation, and we got a little further to go where it'll be a little bit safer to rest, that if we can keep going a little bit further, that we'll have some time to take a break.
I think that's a that's a solid action to take. That Slash is definitely proactive. Tyler's willing to hear it out and have the discussion. Slash is like, "Hey guys, let's we can make this happen." So, Slash, your armor isn't the flashiest and it's not the biggest, but it still makes an impact when you drop down out of the sky. People are used to seeing it by now, but it's still like, oh man, that's just so cool. You know, a flying suit of power armor that still works. Everything in Rifts is beat to hell and back, especially after the war. You know, the only things that people see now this for the last 6 months to a year are just beaten up old used broken equipment, and so it's still just like, ah, yeah, that's Slash, man. He's got our high cover. You know, that's a good guy there. He's solid. You haven't really talked to a lot of them, but obviously stories have circulated. So you land, and people kind of sigh because they know, they obviously, Graham, you see this, they obviously chose Steven to come up and talk to you. So, you know, seeing you get on the radio and then seeing Slash come down from his high watch, which is kind of where he is every day. They really don't see him except for meal times. uh they start to gather up and around. People pick up their pace a little bit to get up closer to you. So Slash, you start to plead your case to Graham and to Steven, really the spokesperson, when the crowd begins to gather around you, and a couple more people, the train is starting to catch up to this sort of stopping point. A couple minutes go by as it's like, guys, we've got just a little bit more to go here, and it's gonna be all right. So can you roll me, Slash, if I pop open your character sheet here, can you roll me an untrained persuasion? Or no, it's not untrained. You do have the persuasion skill.
What would that be?
So if you open up your character sheet and click on the die and then drag that to the chat, is that correct, Icy? You should be able to roll that.
Or double click on it. Either way.
Oh, just a double click? That's
Mhm.
nice. Okay.
Persuasion. Oh, I guess that's a 3.
Mm, all right. Graham, would you also like to roll a persuasion skill?
I would be happy to.
Yeah, Slash
Aid
isn't
him?
the nicest guy.
Yeah.
You can see a 5.
Okay. uh Slash, you drop down out of the sky. You start to make your case, and it's not the most convincing case. And so Graham jumps in, to sort of auxiliary your point, adjunct your point. And it seems like the people are starting to see sense, because Graham, you weren't fully aware of the fact that just another 1,000 feet, you're good to go. You're ready. Um, but it starts to make more sense now. It starts to make more sense now. And so the group is starting to quiet down and be like, okay, all right, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do this. And they're willing to head on for the rest of the 1,000 feet. And it's as you're heading up the rest of the roadway that you hear a rumbling, and you hear the rocks falling, but you feel the earth moving. And that's when you're thinking, oh no, why, why is this? The hairs on the back of your neck go up, Graham, and you feel like this is not going to be good at all. Not even a little bit. And so here we go. Icy, I'm going to jump to you for a second.
Mhm.
You're out ahead of the group, and you feel the earth start to move behind you. And this is a pretty steep slope with a couple of switchbacks, so you don't have clear line of sight. And I'm going to ask you here really quick. For initiative for Savage Worlds, it's just the cards. I don't ask you guys to roll d20s. The GM kind of takes that out of your hands. Is that right?
Usually they just you deal out cards. So in the combat tracker, you should have the option to assign initiative.
Okay, fantastic. So if I hit that flag, is that no, that's not roll initiative. Action cards, deal to all, bam. And then I've got to put my combatant in there, and by default, you shouldn't see my combatant. Is that right?
I believe so in this one.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to share my map with you all here. If I know how to do this properly, share record. You should all be able to pull up the map that I have open on my interface. Is
I
that right?
had I had a black map with 2 red lines on it come up.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
It might still be downloading like the image or something.
Sure, sure, sure. Or I have to right click and hit share record on the actual map itself. Because that's going to be a downer if all of my images take a second to upload.
Mm,
And here, stream, we have our first growing pains of usage rights. Okay. Let's see here. So I have a map selected. I have the two
mhm.
red lines that I drew myself. So if you've got those, you should have the rest of the map, I think.
I'm not
Should
picking it up. I also went through um, our library of images and maps, and that's the same thing that he's got, just a black map with 2 red lines.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not good at all. Hmm.
if you want to try and reshare it, see if that helps.
Yeah, I certainly can. Sharing, share record. Want the map as well. Sharing, share record. And then what if I just drag the link down into chat and you click on that out of the chat window? Would that do it? Because there's got to be something that's been turned off about the actual.
No, I'm still getting the same thing, which is weird
Ah,
because it should have downloaded it
yeah. I
when
mean,
we
it's part of
connected.
the core map pack, and it says it's visible to all.
Mm-hmm. Let me disconnect real quick, and I will come back in. And see if that helps. Just gotta wait for the acquiring of the file list. And all that
Sure.
fun
Are
stuff.
you by chance set up to share your Discord? Because I could just screenshot it and drop it in Discord.
I am not.
Okay. All right. No worries. I mean, it's obviously that's not the ideal situation, right?
new. We'll need to figure this out and why it's not working.
Yeah.
All right, I've got Tyler up now. Let me go to images. Battle map outdoor 2. Nope, still black lines. We'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
But
Yeah. We'll have
if
to
that's
take a
enough
look into that.
detail, we should be able to make it work for right now.
Sure. Fair enough. So the key component here, it's a bummer you guys can't see the grid either, but the key component here is that this is the road you are moving. We'll take east is left, west is right. Or excuse me, if we're heading down to the south right now. Okay. So this is the north end of the road. So if you can see the lines, then I should be able to draw and you should be able to at least track that. So let's do that, and I'm going to do drawing mode, enter drawing mode. So this is the north end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to see that real time?
Yep, I see it in there.
Okay, great. And this is the south end of the road over here. So your group is coming from here, and you have a relatively steep mountain pass on either side of you. So there isn't a lot of wiggle room outside of what's been outlined. And each square is approximately 5 yards, give or take. And so your pace is equal to 1 square. So if your pace is 6, I believe that's 30 yards. Does that sound right, Icy?
Yep, sounds great to me.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. So the next question is going to be if I drag a tile. So I'm going to pull Graham here from my combat tracker and drop him on the map. Does he appear for you guys?
Stuff changed, so I got targets
I
and things
just
like that.
I just dropped him right above the arrow. I dropped Graham right above the arrow.
I do not see him. Let me drag me in there and see. I can see myself once I drag me in there. I don't know if they can see me.
Can't see
I
you.
can
No,
Can't see
I
me.
didn't see it on mine.
Okay. This is an odd disconnect because I can see Tyler since he dragged himself in there.
All right. Well, we can theater of the mind it too if we need to. For the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to have to happen. Tyler, if you'll move yourself to the top of those red lines, Graham, if you'll drop yourself in right above the arrow, because you can each see yourselves, and I'll be able to see you because I can see Tyler since he dropped himself. And then Slash, since you landed, if you could just place yourself also above the arrow.
How do you pull up the combat tracker?
It's over on the right-hand side. You should see a symbol of a sword on the in the top right. There's some little symbols. And if you mouse over the sword, it should say combat tracker. If you click on that, it should pull up a window and you'll see the list of characters in there. Tyler, Slash, and Graham. And you should be able to click on your character portrait, which is to the left, right next to your initiative card.
Got
And you
it.
can drag and drop that. Perfect. Okay. So we're gonna, just to get you in place here, Tyler, we're gonna approve your move.
Mhm.
Oh wow, but I can't actually click on the check mark by your name. So we're gonna theater the mind this. I
Yep.
think that's what we've got to do here.
I'm just
So
gonna close the map and then you and I can get together and figure this out before it
yeah,
goes
we'll
time.
figure this out afterwards. Sorry, streamers. We'll get this cleaned up as we go. Session
It's
0.5.
been a while since I've used Fantasy Ground, but there might be part of it might be a fog of war setting,
Oh, okay.
and then I think you. I can't remember, but the ownership of the characters may be part of the issue there. I don't recall, like for you to be able to do things to us versus, the our attempted movement.
Mm,
But it's been a long time since I used Fantasy Ground, so I'm not sure.
Yep. There's
okay.
a lighting and all sorts of stuff that you can put on there, so that's very true. It could be that.
Sure,
So
sure.
like that. We'll just theater of the mind it. We're in our spots and we'll play it by mind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we can definitely make this work. I think we've all played enough old school RPG to make this one work. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Icy, you're up at the front. Excuse me, Tyler, you're up at the front, and you don't have a clear line of sight when you feel the ground shaking behind you. And what's your immediate first thought when you start to feel the ground shake?
The first thing I think I would do is make sure that all of my sensors on the glitter boy are up and running. And I would start scanning around me to see what's going on, while kind of moving back that way, hoping it's not just like a random landslide or something like that that's coming for the caravan. And if it is, then I'd be starting to move back there to see if I can start blocking boulders or do something about it.
Sure, sure. Okay. All right. And so if your immediate thought is like, "Oh man, what is this? Let me look back here."
Mm-hmm.
Slash, the ground starts to shake. What's the first thing you're thinking about right now?
I'd jump back up in the air and start looking for the source of where this rumbling's coming from.
Okay. All right. So that's your sort of gut instinct as the ground starts to shake. But before you can actually take off, break. Graham, what's your knee-jerk reaction here as the ground starts to move?
I start counting heads. I start looking around and seeing, doing an inventory of where everyone's at.
Sure, sure. Okay. All right. So as you're beginning to do that, the ground is rumbling and shaking, and slash, you are about to jump into the air when ahead of you you hear this explosive noise, and bursting out of the side of the mountain, making its way towards the path, is a burrowing worm. And it is, you think, this gigantic, absolutely horrific creature. And so this is where we would normally say roll initiative, d20s hit the table, but instead we have cards, and the worm actually goes first, and it is going to take this time to move closer towards you, the pile of refugees. You're not quite sure what drove it to sense you, what drove it out of the ground right where you happen to be, but this is what's happening. So when it moves to, if I hit this downward arrow, my worm goes first. It's moved closer. We're going to go to Graham as the next up here. Could you guys do me a favor and try to pull up this map one more time? I clicked
I
on the
was about
player
to mention
visibilities.
I can now see it. I have recently repulled it up and can see the full map in the worm.
Oh, yep, I can
Fantastic.
too.
Okay.
Yep, I can too.
Great.
Just
So it
waiting
was
for
a
that good moment.
visibility. Yep, yep. Good man.
Oh, I can see my dude on it too.
Perfect. Perfect. So if we just want to take a quick second here, Tyler, if you want to scoot yourself, or if I let me scoot you here, you're at the top of the road. We're going to get a draw line in here. So you've got a switchback in the road there that you have
Mm-hmm.
to get around before you can take a look back at the worm. And oh, where'd my map go? I just lost it, kitties. There we are. We're back. All right. And the worm is there and should be set to visible.
It is.
Okay.
Yep,
Great.
I can see it.
Okay. Great, great, great. So Tyler, you're up there at the front. I'm gonna hit the check mark on Slash and on Graham. So Graham, you are next up. Hopefully you've had a second to look over your character sheet in terms of combat abilities and those pieces. What is it you would like to do here? The refugees are screaming as this thing has burst out of the ground and is beginning to motor towards you.
Yeah, I think probably the first thought is to try and entangle it, trying to keep it away from the refugees.
Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna jump to entangle the spell here because that's a big deal. Entangle, the state summary for all of our listeners, is the victim can't move and is distracted as long as they remain entangled. So, that's an issue for me and for the worm. So, are you aware of how spellcasting works here, Graham?
Oh, barely.
Okay. All right. So, I think we need to take a second here and pull this up because I will admit I do not know either for
I am
Savage
using
Worlds.
like a couple cheat sheets, but I'm not sure whether they're specific to Savage Rifts or Savage Worlds as the more general.
It's going to be blanket, so if it works for Savage Worlds, let's roll it in.
Okay, it looks like I will roll spellcasting versus its agility.
Okay. Perfect. Let's do that.
Let me double check this little cheat sheet, see what we got. Blah, blah, blah. Arcane skill roll is opposed by the target's agility. Going to cost 2 to 4 power points. I only need a single opponent, so it's just going to cost 2 power points. And the one thing that I'm not sure what the conversion is the range is equal to smarts.
Okay. The range should come up here. I'm at the heading of the chapter, and spell range is usually pretty early on. They spend a lot of time on trappings. As far as PowerPoints go, you're going to be looking at your PPE, and I believe that as a first level leyline walker, you have a set amount of 10.
It appears so.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. For smarts. They're not giving me a conversion for smarts here. For the actual range. So we're gonna say that smarts is 1 inch equals 5 yards, 1 smarts equals 1 square or 5 yards. So with your smarts stat, if I pull up a gram, your smart stat is 8, so you're gonna be able to go out 8 squares.
That sounds pretty logical. Let's see, what's our distance currently?
Looks like you are about 10 squares away. So if you want to move up 2 squares, which you can just hit Alt, left Alt, grab your character and move him forward 2 squares. You'll be able to count the pace and range there. And then I think, Icy, correct me if I'm wrong, if he does a control and click on the worm, it'll give him the range to target. Is that right?
Yep. Yep, that'll target it.
Was that a control and click?
I believe so.
I do not know that anything different has changed from doing that.
Okay. All right, well then. Can he also grab that power off of his spell sheet and drag it onto the worm to see if he's in range? Icy, is there another way to do that?
On the combat tracker, there's a target, but I don't know why it's not showing me a range to target either, even though I have it targeted. So that should do it.
Okay. All right. Well then.
All right, well, I have it targeted through the combat tracker, but it does not indicate the distance or anything like that.
That is fine. So Slash is already getting in there with the laser.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay. We'll get there. We'll get to you.
Uh,
We'll get to you. For you, Graham. Uh if we so you want to entangle it. So I believe at this point, if you grab the entangle die and drag it onto the worm, is that how that works? I see. If not, we can just roll the dice in the chat and we can do the math here.
I'd just roll it in chat right now.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and grab a D8 for Graham and drop that into the chat, and then I will grab the worm's agility and roll that. Oh wow.
I rolled a
Okay.
1 on each die.
That's brutal, man.
I think that's a time with the. Is that a trait that we can reroll with a Benny?
Yeah. Yep.
Because that
That's
seems like a thing right there. A 1 on each die.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one for that, for sure.
Actually, I think a 1 on both die is considered a critical fail, and that's the one spot you can't do it. Normally you can.
That's right. Yeah, you have to accept a critical fail.
Yep.
Don't say that. Ooh, critical fail on an entangle spell. So for a critical fail on the entangle, I'm going to say that you do spend the power points and that the spell goes off, but on yourself, but in a
That's
limited capacity.
perfect.
So it's it entangles, vines begin to reach up out of the ground, these dusty, sandy, pebble-ridden vines that wrap themselves around your feet and ankles begin to climb up your legs. And that is deeply unfortunate. So I believe we can clear the worm from your target and then move to the next person, next combatant, which will be Slash. So now, Slash, you can check the range. If I pop open your character sheet here, we can check the range on your guns. Looks like you would like to use that JA, was it the 12 that you have?
Because I'm in the power armor, I was going to use the anti-personnel lasers on the power armor.
Okay, fantastic.
Got it. It says 75, 150, 300.
You are well within range, my friend.
Not
So
sure what I need to
I
do
think
for it.
for the anti-personnel laser, then at this point, if you would like to select the worm as target, or I might be able to do that for you. Bam. I can select the worm as a target. So you see that pop up in the combat tracker. You got baby giant worm next to your crosshairs there, underneath your name. Is that jiving? Kintaro?
It's under Tyler targets baby giant worm.
I targeted them. So
Oh, so
Mm.
do I just click on it or?
in the combat tracker, there's a little little crosshairs. Click and drag that,
Got
and
it.
then drop it on the worm for yourself.
Alright. Baby giant worm. I'm trying to drop it on it. Not really. Drag onto. Alright. Trying to drop on it. Not
It's not letting you
targeting
target
it
it.
for me. I might be out of range.
Shouldn't matter, but we'll look that up as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get through some software fine-tuning here. So remember that you can also make a move, and I think your flying pace is something ridiculous, like 24. So if you want to move, I mean, it's a burrowing worm. I wouldn't advise moving right next to it, but if you want to move closer, you certainly can. But as he said, the range shouldn't matter at all.
I'm trying to target it. I don't want to necessarily move closer to it. I just want
Just
to shoot it.
just do a roll for shooting. You don't need to target it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can save
What do
that
you want me to
automation for
roll?
later. So for you, your shooting skill is a D8. So if you want to grab a D8 and a D6 for the wild die.
If you go on your character sheet under traits, you can have shooting, which will automatically add that extra d6 in when you roll it.
Oh, nice. Okay. So that's just a left click on the die next to the shooting. Drag that over to chat and drop it.
Got it.
Ooh, and he aced.
Nice one. So is Fantasy Grounds going to automatically bump that ace roll, or is he going to have to re-roll the die?
Nope, he aced it. It re-rolled it, so it you saw it roll another dice, and so he got a 9.
Oh,
So
I see. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well,
Nice.
that's absolutely a hit here. So now you can roll the damage. And I think the best way to do that is to go to the combat tab and grab your damage dice. Just a left click and drag that to chat. Is that right?
yep.
Where is it?
On your character sheet, there'll be the tabs down the right-hand side of the character sheet, and you'll see main, traits, combat. For that third tab, combat, oh no, excuse me, not combat. You're going to be
Nope.
down in inventory.
Combat works.
Oh, it is
Combat should have all the weapons and stuff that's equipped. So
He
All right.
doesn't have his power armor weapon there, the variable laser.
okay,
Yeah.
then I'll have to go through
Right here.
inventory.
Yeah, inventory, and then the armor tab on the top. Click on the Flying
Alright.
Titan character, the little stud to the right, and then you'll be able to grab the anti-personnel laser damage and drop that in chat.
Got it.
There we
Nice.
go. There we go. Whoa,
Whoa,
why is it still dropping dice?
because he aced a couple times.
Damn.
He heard it.
He
Holy
fucking
crap.
probably killed it. Jesus Christ. Is that
That's
23? Did he ace that die multiple times?
Yep.
Jesus.
That's 42 damage.
Those lasers are not nice.
No. Oh man.
Let's see. I think he aced 5 die.
Yeah, well, the 1d6 got 23. So
yeah, that's
he aced it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh, Fred.
Jeez. Okay, well, guys, my big bad worm screams in pain, and it is very hurt. It slashes, jumps to the front, sprays the lasers from the arms of the power armor towards this worm that spewed across the ground and is rolling towards you here. And the worm is screeching in pain. It is very almost dead. And so we'll jump to the next combatant here before this gets too anticlimactic. Tyler, what can we do you for?
Well, the first thing is I'm going to try and move to where I can see what's. Well, actually, before I even do that, I'm going to hop on the radio. Gentlemen, is there something going on down there?
Yeah, you might want to get in range and blast this thing.
What is the thing that we're talking about here?
Oh, you'll see
So-
the thing, Tyler. You'll see
Oh,
the
it's
thing.
big and nasty.
All right. And then I will attempt to. How far can I move? How big are these squares? Is these single squares or these multiple squares?
These should be single squares, so your
Okay.
pace in the power armor should be more than enough. If you want to step around that berm,
Yep.
you'll have a clear enough line down.
Okay. I will do that. And then seeing this big worm, and it's also, mildly close to the party. Am I out of range where shooting my boom gun is going to be okay without deafening various people?
Let me count some squares here. Okay. Now, I haven't been able to find a direct read, but I believe the big template, quote unquote big template, is 10
Mhm.
squares. So yes, you should be out of range. You will deafen the worm.
Okay. Then I'm going to take 2 actions this turn. The first one is going to be dropping my spikes into the ground, and the second one is
Oh,
going
okay.
to be shooting the snot out of this thing.
Since you have a boom gun, it will be the snot.
Well, gentlemen, I think it's Well, actually, what would Tyler do? Tyler, um, you know what? He's not gonna do that. He's not gonna drop that. He's actually gonna try and melee this thing. It's almost dead. It's not gonna be fair to this thing to just shoot it with a boom gun. That's not cool. That's
Yeah, so at the point where you step around the berm, you can see the tracks in the ground and the hole where it exploded from in the side of the mountain,
Mhm.
beyond the edge of the pathway, where it was beginning to jet towards the refugees, and Graham and Slash, making their last stand in front of the group of peasants and refugees
Mhm.
there. But it is, as you come around that corner, there is just ichor across the ground, and this worm is now writhing and screeching. It's no longer jetting towards them. And so you see that there is definitely an opportunity here.
All right. So I don't really don't think I have. Maybe I do. I think I might have a punch on this thing. Let me go to my inventory here. My armor, glitter boy armor. Let's open that up. Uh, boom
You
gun
should
and
have
a
a
full-on
vibro
punch.
knife or
I got a punch. I got a punch. Uh, let's see here. So I can move up to the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to attempt to punch it. And I'm not great at this, but I am not about to let a combatant go down that easily. You gotta give it a chance. And I am attempting to play up my arrogance quite a bit on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a fighting roll, correct? Against its parry, if I remember right. Correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. And then I don't actually roll an opposed parry. It's just against its parry stat.
Yep. All right, I got
I
a
think is
D4
how
in
that
fighting.
goes.
Let's see what we do here. I
Oh
got a
boy.
3.
Oof. That was with your wild die?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, you miss.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
And I'm
you run up, but in the worm's wild throws, it definitely isn't attempting to dodge you, but between its scaly, thick hide and its writhing, the blow glances off.
mm-hmm. Now I'm
This
gonna
is
turn
a
on my
cruel.
external speaker. All right, you big worm. Let's see what you got.
Slash
Perfect.
chuckles a little hearing that.
Perfect.
If Graham wasn't busy trying to untangle himself, he would definitely be face palming.
And so we move to, okay, next round, and the baby giant worm and Tyler both drew jokers. So I think that means that I get a Benny, and all the players get a Benny,
Yep.
which means that Graham, you're back up to 3. But what does a joker mean in terms of combat? I do not remember. I'm learning a
So
whole new rule set.
yep, jokers allow the person that pulled a joker to go whenever they want in the turn.
Ooh,
I believe it's
ooh,
even stopping in the middle of someone else's turn if they so choose. Um,
Yikes.
and that's what that means. So if the worm wanted to go first, he can certainly just go, I'm going first.
nice.
And
Okay, well,
I'm going to use my joker to do that unless the worm is going to attempt to circumvent me.
sure, sure. Well, what that means here is that the worm is not going to circumvent you. The Joker, or the worm, would like to go first. The worm would like to just. You came up to hit it, the blow glanced off, and it's just going to lash out and bite the nearest thing because it's hurt, and that's what
Oh,
animals
good.
do.
Good. Tyler's excited by this. Let's get a hit in.
He has a sickness. So the worm is going to attempt to bite you, and so the die on the left, I believe, is a bite. So if maybe I can do this here. So I select the worm, control click to you, and then I can double click bite, and that should roll that, maybe?
Yep. Yep. And it hits me because my parry is a 4.
Ooh, nice. Okay. So then
However,
we will. Hmm?
however, I'm gonna see if I can get through the armor.
Yeah, I doubt it. Honestly, the Glitter Boy's armor is stupid.
Does it have any armor piercing?
No, it does not for the bite.
Okay. My armor is 25, so
Jeebus. Okay. That's yeah. So no.
Just
So
a little strong.
yeah, the worm bites, and its teeth shear and snap as it bites across you, and it screeches in more pain. If anyone has gotten a or bitten into like an ice cream cone with their teeth, that's what the worm is feeling right now. Not the brain freeze, just that sort of numbing spike of pain that comes through your jaw. That's what the worm feels as it bites across the chrome plating of a glitter boy. And that'll jump us to so because of the jokers, it looks like it didn't actually jump to the next person's turn. Okay, here we go. So now we're gonna drop down to Tyler.
yep. And I'm
So
definitely gonna
would
take
you
my
like
turn.
to?
Yep,
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
absolutely. I'm going to with the external speakers on, just chuckle. All right, you big worm. It's now my turn, and I am going to punch it as well.
Okay.
Can you believe you really said that, Graham?
I got an 8. If I don't hit, I'm going to spend a Benny to try that again. But does
No,
an
you
8
do
hit?
hit. You
I
do
All
mean,
hit.
right.
Graham just shakes his head. Just still shaking.
All right. And this is I don't know, is
Should have
this?
known a worm would lead us to some references. My apologies.
Yeah. All right. So I roll my damage for this thing, and I do 12. So it looks like it automatically calculated it as shaken.
Yeah, no, that's moving beyond shaken. That's actually going to be the punch that pushes through the outer skin of the worm, and as the carapace crunches through and you feel the ichor within, you feel the shudders, the dying shudders of this baby giant worm that burrowed its way through the ground. You recognize that there's potentially no way you could have dealt with a full-sized beast. And as you take a step back and
I
draw your
doubt Tyler
fist,
recognizes that. No.
Yeah,
well,
no. I if it showed up, he'd take it on. He'd probably use his boom gun in that case, but
oh god, I don't know. Um, well, in any case, you bury your fist up to the shoulder in this disgusting ichor, and the creature shudders, knocking you about a little bit within your power armor, and dies.
Oh, that's
Little
gonna smell horrible.
little help here. Little slash. You want to do the cutting thing?
Yeah, pull out my vibra knife and help him get untangled.
Nice, nice.
I think Graham just sort of dusts himself off and goes, it doesn't always go right. It's the thing about magic. Just
It
sometimes
hap- it
try your best.
happens.
just like any battle, some stuff just doesn't go right.
And it's at that point, Graham, that Steven says, "Well, maybe we don't stop, guys."
You know what,
That's
Steven?
probably a good
I
decision.
think that's real clever of you. I think you know, you're a smart one.
So,
Slut.
Slash, as you are cutting the beast, what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm gonna chuckle a little bit at Graham's comment to Stephen as I'm gonna take off back into the air.
The worst part is I think Graham is like being sincere and trying to be encouraging, even though that's just so obviously, like, for anyone else, very clearly patronizing and sarcastic.
Sure.
I think it's sort of
Slash.
like Graham has like the school teacher vibe of like, you know what, you solved that problem on your own. Good job. even though the rest of the class is already there. To anyone, it should have been obvious that we move on, but that's just a little encouragement. You can get there too. No child left behind.
Oh God, just gotta drive that point home real quick.
Slash thinks it's hilarious.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Okay. Well, Slash, as you are cutting that worm open, there isn't you get you get Tyler out of his predicament there, and you recognize that the there's actually a stomach sac right behind the head of the worm, probably the initial digestion chamber. And as you're recognizing that, your vibro knife actually bumps into something. You're like, oh, maybe this might be something. And it's through that you spill its first gut on what could potentially be some loot here. So I think there is a shared inventory table. If I
Yep,
go
on
to the
party
Mhm,
sheet inventory. Yep,
yep.
and then you can
And then
drop parcels in there.
do I need to share that window with you, or can you see the party sheet
I
inventory?
we can see it. We can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pull it from one of the icons in the top right.
Hmm.
Okay, fantastic. So if I drop the parcel into parcel items,
Ooh, yep. I see 4 things in there.
there we go. So the backpack is almost completely digested. If you click on the items, I've been trying to make note on each specific item. If you'll click on the item, you'll notice its cost is 10 instead of, I don't know what the default is, 60, 70.
Hmm.
And then the other items are fairly hard wearing. So they all seem to be mostly intact despite the worm's stomach acids. So I don't know. Here, do I need to? No, this is a sell items arrow. So you now have access to pull those items right now that it's been dropped in parcel.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Well, nasty stuff. This covers this stuff, but might be able to salvage some of this. Anybody looking for an axe or a ballistic shield or a pistol?
Well, an axe could be a little bit of fun to use at one point in time. So if y'all don't mind, I might take that.
It's all yours.
Absolutely. By all means, Tyler.
Let's see
Graham,
here.
do you have yourself a laser pistol? I mean, I know you got magic and all that, but never know. A laser pistol might be useful.
I do, in fact, have a laser pistol, and I show off the little northern gun that we got.
Very nice, very nice. Well, if you don't mind, I'll take this other one then.
Help yourself, friend.
Nice, nice, nice.
How do I grab that? Just
So grab the little red dot. So go to your inventories. Which one are you trying to grab?
the laser pistol.
Yep. So go to your inventory. It doesn't work when you drop it on mundane. Go to your weapons, and then that little red dot, drag that into an empty spot on your weapons inventory.
Okay.
And if
So
you can
inventory.
see in the chat, it says party Graham backpack, party Tyler axe throwing, and then
Got it.
shows who's taking what.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Got it.
I'll grab
Got
the
a
ballistic
ballistic
shield,
shield.
since it seems that it's not really first pick for anyone else.
Absolutely, it's all yours.
By all means. Might get some coin later.
It's not worth nothing. So as we close out with Graham grabbing the ballistic shield, that brings us to a close for our world building and RP and our encounter for the evening. It's a bummer we had some issues with the map. Icy, let's make sure to make some time this week to get some of these details ironed out, some functionality, so I can use Fantasy Grounds smoothly.
Absolutely.
And maybe we can all jump on this week. I won't hold my breath for that. We definitely all have schedules. But if we could all jump on for maybe 30 minutes and just talk through some basics, that might be helpful. But we can schedule that all offline. But as we close here, Stephen and the refugees recognize that they should not be stopping out in the middle of the wilderness. That's potentially a very bad idea, as was just illustrated to them by none other than the giant worm. And a very heroic stand by our Tyler, Glitter Boy up at the front, came back with a leaping flying power punch to the head of the worm, which he missed, and then followed up with an uppercut that buried him to the shoulder and got him stuck in the carcass. Slash came to the fore and cut him loose, but I think this definitely puts us in a place to go forward, guys, for next week. This is the hopefully first episode of many good and exciting moments that we can share. Questions,
Looking
thoughts
forward
as
to
we
it.
close? Good.
Absolutely. This was a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's nice to see
Slash
you guys
is-
again. It's been a hot minute.
It
Oh
has been
yeah,
a
good
hot
to
minute.
see you again, man. Slash is definitely gonna use Tyler's missteps with the punch to tease him later on.
It would be also great for some point for Slash to reference like previous things that he has done back in the days of Doc and Chaser.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be
Just telling
telling lots
stories
of
about
those
this dog
stories.
once.
This awesome dog.
The gambling doctor.
Oh God, that's right.
Yep.
That big gun he had.
Oh man, and then what? Jack in that vehicle. It's the memories, man. No, Slash has been all kinds of places, hasn't he?
Been all over riffs.
Yes, he has.
But yeah, thanks, Gabe, to putting this together and getting us back into the world.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Riffs is definitely a joy for me to be back in. I'm glad that Slash has some war stories to tell of some foolish characters that he's worked with in the past. Memorable characters that he's worked with in the past. And it's good to be back. This is hopefully the first adventure of many. We've still got some kinks to work out, some world building to do, but I we definitely have some suspense, thriller, action, and horror to look forward to, everybody.
Absolutely. And with that then, unless anybody has anything extra, thank you all for watching. And like that, we will be back next Monday at the same time. And appreciate everybody who showed up to watch us get some riffs on. Look forward to us doing this once a week on Monday. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.